last thing I want to say is that we are recording this class today. We have a student that's going to watch it later. So just FYI, it's being recorded. And also, if you would like to receive the link to the recording, you can just send Erin an email after class and she will get that to you. Okay, so let's jump into fascia. This is going to be like the heaviest learning part of this class, and then we're just going to sink in and relax and let all of this information like float to the background of your mind. So pay attention now, and then we're just going to be like smooth sailing after that. So fascia is connective tissue. Our bodies are a matrix of fluid-filled tissues. I just think that is like the coolest image. We are this continuous network from head to toe. The structure of the fascia, you might have seen in the event image I made for this workshop. The background was an actual like picture of fascia, and it's this web of hollow tubules that are filled with fluid and surrounded by fluid. So it has this liquid crystalline structure, and the fluid that it carries is mostly water, but it also carries sort of this cocktail of chemicals and mineral nutrients and sugars. So it's this rich, in most places in your body, it's pretty thin, but it's sometimes thicker because there are these various different types of fascia within your body that have different thicknesses, different textures, and different functions. Functions of fascia is that it glides over itself as we move, and the fluid that it's suspended in helps reduce friction during our movement. So you can imagine that hydration is really important to fascia health and to facilitating that healthy glide. So drinking plenty of water is part of this, but it's not just about hydration in terms of water consumption. When we're talking about hydration in terms of fascia, we're talking about needing to get those fluids into the tissues where they're needed. So the way that we do that is through exercise and movement. These things are extremely important to keeping fascia hydrated and healthy. So the fluid in fascia is pretty similar to our lymph fluid in that it doesn't have its own pump. Like our blood has a pump, being our heart, that continuously is moving and recycling it through our body. Our lymph and our fascial fluid doesn't have a pump. So we have to move our bodies in order to move the fluid. So or in yin yoga, like we're practicing today, really helps with the rehydration of fascia. So when we're constricting our fascia, such as with a deep, slow massage, or when we're holding a long yin pose, we're squeezing the old fluid out of our fascia like squeezing out a sponge. And then when we release the pressure and come out of that posture, new fluid rushes into the fascia in that area, refreshing it and rehydrating it. So fascia is able to withstand a lot of force and then bounce back to its original shape. So it kind of is like this shock absorber for our bodies. That's called a recoil when it bounces back. Its ability to recoil is dependent on it being adequately hydrated. Our fascia is able to stretch into new forms and stay there. But to make lasting changes like this, we need to be doing yoga like every day. Doing yoga once or twice a week is really good in terms of helping your fascia stay healthy and hydrated, but it's not gonna make these like super lasting changes. That's just like an FYI. Fascia, like we said, is this web. It's like this mesh-like covering that surrounds every single part of your body. So some examples of this, there's a continuous layer of fascia just underneath our skin going over the entirety of our body. There's a layer of fascia around each individual muscle fiber, around each muscle group, and connecting muscle groups to one another. There's fascia around each bone, each nerve fiber, each blood vessel. And there's also fascia around each of our organs, supporting them and helping to hold them in place. So if you removed everything but your fascia from your body, it would still look like you had a body. Like there's that much. You would have like a negative cast of all of your body parts made of fascia. So another concept in relation to the structure of fascia is this idea of fascial trains. So the fascia, like we said, is connected from head to toe, and we mean this literally. So there have been anatomists that specialize in fascia that have identified what they call fascial trains, which are certain pathways of fascia that are connected across large swaths of the body. So one in particular, just to give you an idea, goes from the bottoms of the feet up the backs of the legs, then it crisscrosses behind your pelvis and then goes up the sides of the spine, rejoins at your neck, comes all the way around the front of your head to your forehead, and it's all completely connected. So this is why fascial tension and trigger points are characterized by referred pain. So when you have tension in one particular area, it can be pulling on that entire fascial train, and you may have pain crop up in another area. And you're like, I don't know where this pain came from. I hurt my shoulder and now my calf hurts, you know, for example. That's fascia. That is illustrating the connected nature of fascia. Okay, so it is fascia that gives our body most of its shape and structure, not the skeleton. I think this is like the coolest thing. There's actually this tensegrity is a word that was created just to describe this phenomenon. It's a contraction of tensional integrity, tensegrity. So this is a concept that was actually created by the American architect Buckminster Fuller. And it's the idea that there are like little models that you can get to illustrate tensegrity, and I wish I had one because it really helps. Maybe write this down and look it up later because it's really interesting if you're a nerd like me. But it's like, instead of your bones being like beams that are holding up your muscles and nerves and fascia and organs, and those things are hanging off of your skeleton, your bones are actually more like spacers that are like holding the space for this multi-directional network of fascia. And the fascia is actually bearing most of the weight in this system. It's not your bones. Your bones are just kind of creating like this framework, and the fascia is creating the structure and actually supporting all of those tissues in your body. That's something to think about as we're like moving through our yoga practice today, and see if you can feel into that. And then the last thing that I want to bring up, which is fascia as it relates to trauma. So there's research being done on whether fascia may hold emotions and memories in the body. This is like a very commonly accepted idea in some types of body work, such as craniosacral therapy, which I practice, and myofascial release. But, you know, scientists aren't so convinced yet. But the way that memories are stored is still largely a mystery. They're not necessarily all stored in the brain. We don't even know quite where in the brain or how they're stored. This is like a real big topic in science in recent research. So scientists are investigating non-neurological ways that soft tissues such as fascia may be involved in holding on to memories. And I also just want to define trauma really quick. When I use this word, I mean a state of overwhelm that exceeds your ability to cope in that moment. It's too much for your system to integrate as it's happening. So this can be physical, such as surviving an accident, or emotional, such as surviving some sort of abuse or disaster. So your body has too many emotions to process all at once, and it stores some to deal with later. And the idea is that when it stores them away, it's storing them as tension in the fascia. So just the last note on this, fascia it's incredibly strong. It can hold up to 2,000 pounds of tensile strength per square inch. So that's an incredible amount of pressure that your body can be putting on its own muscles and nerves, and it can cause pain and can cause like compensation in the body, which can lead to further injury. It can be the cause of trigger points, which are these tight, tender spots in muscles and fascia. But the really positive thing is that all of this can be healed. It's completely reversible. And we're going to get into doing some of that good work today to take care of our fascia. So, does anyone have any questions before we move on? Seems like we're all good. So Erin, if you want to take it away.
All right. So before we hop into the writing and yoga practice, I wanted to just open the air for anything that needs to be said before we start, anything that's happening within your body at the moment that I should know about, or just anything you'd like to say at this point in class. All right. All right. So let's grab our notebooks or whatever you're writing with. And we'll just start with about a 10-minute writing exercise and then hop into the yoga practice. So if you would like to open your notebook, and the first question I'd like you to just jot down and write about for about a minute or two is, what would you like to get from this class? So what are you here for? Okay, so you can continue writing with that or move on to our next question, which is, what do you feel connected to currently? What feels connected to you? And I'll invite you to start with more kind of tactile or kind of concrete and sort of go from there. So I'm connected to my blanket that I'm sitting on. You can think of it like that. um, I am connected to um, the earrings that are in my ears. So more tactile like that. And then you can kind of move out from there. So what are you connected to currently? It'll take about 2 more minutes to write on that. So feel free to just kind of get some thoughts flowing, just writing what comes from that question. And it can veer off in different directions. That's okay. So whenever you're ready, you could start to broaden that to a little more deeper sense of connection, like metaphorically, what are you connected to emotionally? Just thinking on a little broader sense there. And you could keep writing on that. Or our last question for this round of writing is what makes you feel connected? So, what sparks connection in your life? What makes you feel like tapping into that feeling a little bit? So we'll take about another minute to just wrap up that thought, jot down any other little ideas popping up for you. And once you feel settled with your writing for now, you can set your notebook off to the side, and we're just going to start in an easy seat. So just making your way towards your mat. And like I mentioned in the email, you'll want to have some props today for class, possibly. I have a blanket with me that I'm sitting on right now. I like to sit on something when I'm sitting in an easy seat just to elevate my hips up, make some more space in the hip creases, and kind of create a natural lift in the spine. I also have a little bolster and 2 blocks. If you have other props like a bath towel for your blanket or a couch cushion for your bolster or multiple blankets, you should be fine. I'll show you a few options for using props. They're not necessary. So just wanted to throw that out there. So starting in your easy seat, I'll invite you to find this Gyan Mudra where you bring the thumb and the pointer finger together. So by creating this little mudra with your hands, it's just a gesture of inviting in intention. It's a way of meditating, of welcoming in a certain energy or type of intention into your meditation. We'll just begin here with a couple moments with this mudra. You can let your hands just rest easy on the tops of the thighs. You might even gently press the fingers together where they connect. And feel free to close your eyes or keep them open. As we sit with this mudra for a little bit of time, you can just start to notice your posture, letting the chest lengthen up away from the pelvis. Feel a softening of the shoulders down the back. You might let your hips get a little heavier down towards the ground. This particular mudra is one of connectedness. We connect the thumb and pointer finger together to create a circle with the hands. You can think about this mudra as this gesture of connection to yourself, to others, to a larger community. Connection within the body. You're more than welcome to keep the shape of the hands in the mudra or release that whenever you'd like. We'll just move into a simple mantra, the chanting of the mantra So Hum. Simple mantra to begin with if you've never used a mantra before. So we'll just start with an inhale and we'll let a long so out of the mouth together. Inhaling. So hum. is next. H-U-M. Inhale. Just taking a couple breaths here. I'll invite you to silently repeat that. Oh, sorry, everybody. I just
There you
lost
are.
you for a second. I apologize about that. Technology.
We were all holding our breath, trying to figure out what we were supposed to do after so.
Well, hey, thanks for bearing with me and being here still. um, let's just hop back into the Soham mantra. So I hope that doesn't happen again, but let's just let's just hop back in. So essentially, we're just bringing the breath to the mantra and the mantra to the breath. So just an inhale, repeating so, and an exhale, hum, just in your own mind. Inhaling so, exhaling hum. I'll just keep this mantra in mind as we move through the practice today. This mantra of connection again, the sound of universal breath. In the next couple of breaths, you can just slowly let your chin drop down towards the chest. We're going to start to move the body just for a little warm up here to soften the neck and the face and open the shoulders. So just rocking your head side to side here a little bit. Just letting the chin draw a line across the collarbones. And feel free to match that movement with your breath if you'd like. Exhaling the chin down. Inhale, length along the side of the neck, ear to shoulder. On your next exhale, just meet back in the middle, gently lifting your head right back up. Let's just bring the hands to the back of the neck, just giving yourself a little massage. So by actually bringing the hands to your body, we're just kind of bringing that awareness to the physical body, just dropping into the body by actually touching it. You can use one or both hands to just give the back of your neck a little massage. Just running the hands along the sides of the spine, up into the nape of the neck, base of the skull. You could even give your neck a little squeeze and then rock your head down and up. Sometimes that can feel really nice and releasing. And then if you're comfortable touching your face, you could bring your hands onto the temples, give yourself a little massage here. A little rolling out of the temples in circles. Maybe giving the jawline a little massage. Eventually just letting the hands come back down. And we'll stretch both hands out in front. So arms straight out in front, and then just bring two thumbs up. So just putting the hands into some loose fists here. Go ahead and drop one of your fists down and then just slowly open up, just counting the fingers open until you can't stretch your arm open anymore and your palm is wide open. Just keep stretching back, keeping the chest more or less forward. And you might even flex your fingertips back towards your arm. So just tapping into that physical sensation of what fascia feels like in your body, that line from the side of the chest to the fingertips. Take one more inhale here and then slowly close that off. Pinky, ring, middle finger, and pointer finger, and just lower that arm down. So other side, just taking your time here to slowly open up. We're not doing anything fast today, as you probably noticed already, so just be easy on yourself, take your time. Let your breath be a priority here as you breathe deep. Maybe flex the fingers back. And then slowly close that off. One finger at a time. And then just bring the other hand back up to meet it. We'll do both at the same time. So just opening 1, 2, 3, and 4. Big stretch here. You could even look up as you lift your chest, flex your fingers back. Take a big breath in. And exhale, just close that off. One finger at a time. 2 thumbs up here. Good job. Just lower your hands down and make your way into child's pose when you're ready. So again, no rush. If you have tender knees and you know you want to put a little cushion down for your knees, you could roll out your blanket, just make it a little bit bigger so your knees have a little extra cushion. If you want to be even more supported here, option to bring a block under your hips, maybe even bring the bolster between the knees and rest your belly, chest, and head onto a bolster. Blocks would also work for something like that. All of these are just options to get you settled into a really relaxed child's pose. So yin yoga is this practice of slowing down, of putting intentional pressure on places in the body like fascia where it doesn't always get this kind of longer held attention. So when we hold poses for longer, like Hannah mentioned, we actually are allowing for those little tubes that make up fascia to be squeezed out like a sponge, like releasing and then flooding back in with new fluid. I like to think about it as like new energy. In a yoga perspective, that moving of energy through the body is essentially what we're doing here on the mat. If you'd like, you can welcome in a Ujjayi breath, or in yin yoga, they call it ocean breath, a breathing in through the nose and out through the nose to create a kind of ocean-like wave sound with your breathing. You might add in the mantra, so hum, to your breath. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. In Sanskrit, the mantra so hum translates to I am that. I am connected. I am who I am. I am here in this moment. last few moments here in this shape, see if you can soften somewhere. Maybe let your arms drop a little heavier. Let the weight of the pelvis get heavier back towards the heels or towards your block that you're sitting on. The next couple of breaths, we'll just slowly start to shift forward and come all the way down onto your belly. Option here to bring your blanket, just fold it up. I like to do a double for a little extra layer. Fold it up and place just at the low belly under the pelvis to help create a little neutral feeling in the spine. Once you're there, just rest neutrally here for a moment. You can make a little pillow with your hands and stack your head on them. You could walk your feet out wide to give your hips some more space. So this rebound portion of a yin class is the time between different shapes where we just let the body rest, pause. And I really like to bring awareness to that kind of flooding feeling in certain parts of the body, the flooding of new fluid, rehydration. And sometimes this feels strong and sometimes I don't feel it at all. So just letting yourself rest in this still place to feel, notice sensation moving through your body. And the next couple of breaths, just slowly start to prop up on your forearms, coming into Sphinx pose. You may want a block for this pose to prop your forehead onto, so just know that if you'd like that, maybe snag that now. Bring your elbows comfortably wide, so generally under the shoulders, but if you need to widen them out, that's fine. Just creating this arch in the back. We're targeting the spine in this particular pose. So just feeling that sensation in your back. If it feels tense for you or you feel tenderness in your low back, by all means, just inch your elbows farther forward. Come down out of the back bend a little bit. Option to just let your head drop and bring a block underneath it. You can decide the height that you want that at. And then we just settle in here. So parts of the yin yoga practice are finding the shape, settling into stillness, being there for some time, gently releasing out of the shape, and then coming into a rebound place. Settling in for some time here, Sphinx pose. As we move through the class and there's moments of quiet, please know that I'm still here. I'll let you know when we need to move. And by all means, if you ever need to move before I say so, that's absolutely okay. Listen and respond to your body. See if you can let the belly soften a bit more. If there's anywhere that needs adjusting, feel free to do that. We'll be here for about another minute. Option here to move up into a little deeper back bend, bringing the hands wide and straightening the arms a little or a lot for seal pose. Totally optional. If you go there and you're like, that's not cool on my low back, feel free to just come back down to the previous shape. And let the pelvis soften, let the glutes soften. If you're lifted off of your elbows, slowly bring the elbows back down onto the ground. Gently come back onto the belly. You can rest here or come to another place that you'd like to rebound in. So that might be tabletop position. That might be child's pose again, or maybe even a relaxed down dog. Just know that any of those places are fine. Just a place to kind of check in and notice what's happening. What does the release feel like? It might be really subtle. Wherever you're coming from, we'll all meet in tabletop just for a transition. I'm coming into a lunge here, so if you know that your knees get tender again, blanket under the knees will be nice. Step your right foot forward towards the front of the mat and walk the foot wide so your hands are actually on the inside of your foot. Option here to be up on your right thigh if you're feeling really tight or that's just most comfortable for you. You can bring your hands down onto the ground, walk your foot as wide as you need to make some space. You can also bring blocks under your hands. This is a lot of options, but just play around until you find a place that feels right for you. If you're feeling all right in your back and your neck here, you may start to come down a little deeper, bending the elbows, maybe even lowering onto your forearms. Lizard lunge, where we just drop into the hips. If you're on your forearms, another nice trick here is to bring a block under the forehead. Again, as a support, grounding, helps the neck relax. As you're settling into the shape, check in with your back knee. Notice if you need to inch it a little bit farther back or maybe slide it a little farther forward, depending on what kind of intensity you're feeling there. And then we just breathe. Inhale and exhale. As we settle into the shape for a little bit longer, check in and see what you're feeling here. You might place that feeling on a range between connected and disconnected. And see if you can ease towards the connected side a little bit more, whatever that might feel like for you in your body. And that might just mean simply breathing a little slower, letting thoughts pass without attaching to any one in particular. Or maybe even a breath out of the mouth would be helpful. If you're lowered on your forearms here, go ahead and come back onto your hands. Slowly ease out of the pose, very mindfully. Come out into your tabletop. Again, your choice here as where you'd like to settle. Feel free to lay on the belly, stay in tabletop, take a little movement. That might feel nice, a little swivel of the hips. You might notice some kind of sensation happening, like a flowing, a tingling, pulsing sensation somewhere in the release. And really, whenever you're ready, you can make your way to the other side. Left foot steps forward, adjusting the foot wide, maybe adjusting the back knee slightly, setting yourself up with any props that you might need here to make this shape feel just a little more supportive and connected for you. Block under the forehead might feel nice if you're down on your forearms. Generally in yin, we find stillness in a shape, but by all means, if a little bit of movement feels right for you, feel free to do that. A little bit of shifting side to side, a little bit of rocking of your head to release the neck. how your breath feels here. Just seeing if you can slow it down a little. We'll be here for about another minute. Feel free to make little adjustments as needed, backing out of the pose a little bit, or maybe you sink deeper. The time spent in a pose can sometimes lead to a release that sinks you a little deeper into the shape. And sometimes you're just ready to come out, and that's fine too. And gently come back onto your hands, back to tabletop or any pose of your choice. Settling into stillness or inviting little movements. You might name the sensation that you're experiencing here, describing just what's going on in your body in the release, maybe a little bit of heat or coolness. We'll all meet sitting in on the ground, coming into butterfly pose. So I like to use a little cushion or a blanket to sit up on in this pose too, especially in yin. And I also like using a bolster to fold forward onto. So just a couple props that you might want as well. Starting by just bringing the soles of the feet together. You can scoot your feet as far out in front of you as feels comfortable for you. So the goal here is to not have your feet super duper close to your body. It's to help open the inside of the legs and get the outer hip joint rotation here. So just checking in if your knees feel really high up here or you're really tight in the hip creases. Another nice support are 2 blocks under the knees. That can just feel nice no matter where your knees land. Bolster can come out in front of you if you want to go there and just use that to fold down onto. You can bring as many props as you want on top of your bolster so you can just relax forward onto it. So your choice, you can fold forward in any way that feels right for you. In yin yoga, we allow for a little rounding of the back. So a little different practice here. We're just letting the spine relax, rounding forward. And just letting the chin drop towards the chest. Let your arms rest somewhere comfortable. So when settling into the initial position, it's a nice rule to think about going into the shape with about 80% of sensation. So going in with maybe not as much the deepest variation you'll ever get into at this moment, just kind of easing in and then letting your body naturally float and fall into that place that maybe you would go initially, thinking just on that level of setting yourself up here. We're looking for a pain-free zone. Sensation is fine, pain is not. So knowing that for yourself and making a choice to move if you're not liking how something is feeling. If that shape is not working for you whatsoever, another option would be to come onto your back and make that same shape. Baddha Konasana, knees wide, feet together, lying down. Sometimes letting the breath move towards those places where you're feeling sensation the most can feel really refreshing, almost like a encouragement of that wringing out of connective tissue, allowing new fluid, new energy, new ideas, more connection to flow in. Feel free to let a breath out of your mouth here. And slowly start to rise back up. You can use your hands even to press the knees back together. And just lean back into your hands, allowing for some space in the front of your body. Feel free to windshield wiper the knees side to side a little, freeing up the hips. Moving into caterpillar pose next, kind of like Paschimottanasana. Just extending the legs, both out in front of you. And I'll invite you to just start by wiggling your legs a little. Wiggling your legs, just kind of shaking out the legs here, maybe even letting the feet turn in and out to soften the ankles. Just encouraging some softening in both of your legs. Maybe even doing a gentle little lymph massage, little little upward strokes on the legs towards the heart, towards the abdomen. Nothing too crazy, just a little relaxation technique. And then whenever you're ready, you can just drop into a fold over the legs. Again, as you can see, I have my blankets. You can make that a little bit thicker as well if you want more height. That can help to just kind of neutralize things here in the pelvis. You can bring your bolster onto your legs. Or one of my favorite tricks is to actually make a little tower with blocks and a bolster. If you have those things handy, you can just kind of make a little bit of height, set your bolster on top, and then just fold on over that. And over time, as you're here for a little longer, you may go lower. You may choose to go higher, just kind of checking in, seeing what feels right for you. And then making your way into the shape and settling into stillness. Oh, and focusing on a particular part of the body, something I like thinking about is, what can I learn from fascia? What can it teach me? And in a practice the other day, I was thinking about the idea of wholeness, that you are whole just as you are. And the fascia is this kind of reminder of this connecting force within the body at all times. As you're here for a little longer, you may notice those subtle releases as you're here in the shape. A little shift in one leg, a little more heaviness in the hips, softness in the arms, whatever it might be, just kind of bringing some awareness to that for the next few moments. Notice where the body softens on its own, where you're bringing attention to softening purposefully. In the next couple of breaths, slowly start to rise out of your fold. Again, option to lean back into the hands, or you might just make your way all the way down onto your back. That's where we're going to go anyways, so your choice. Just finding a place to be still. Notice that rehydration and flooding of new fluid back into the fascia, into other parts of the body even. Making your way down onto your back if you haven't already. And just slowly walk your feet wide on your mat. I'm going to take a gentle twist, dropping the knees over to the right. The feet will stay wide. Once you're here, you might notice that you want a prop or two to make the pose a little more comfortable, like bringing a block under your left knee. You may also feel like you want a little more sensation, and if that's the case, you can take your right foot and place it on your left thigh. Just for a little extra weight down in the left leg. So that's can feel kind of intense. So just being mindful there, not to push the limit there. Just checking in and moving accordingly for you. I'll invite you to extend your left arm up alongside your ear just to lengthen a bit more through the side of the body. Maybe bring your right hand onto your belly just to feel the movement of your breath. If your foot is placed on your leg, gently release it. And let's all meet back in the middle. Just feeling the pelvis neutral, the feet wide. Maybe even windshield wiper the knees here again. Or just extend the legs up towards the ceiling for a moment. Gently bring the feet back down if they're lifted and drop the knees to the left. Option for a block under the right knee or stacking the left foot on top of the the right thigh. Extend your right arm alongside the ear, left hand rests on the belly. Just letting the palm receive the breath. Take your time to move back through the center. And we'll take a brief Shavasana here, just coming into a place of stillness for a little bit of time. We'll rest here for about a minute, just letting the legs extend, or maybe the soles of the feet on the ground feels nice for your low back. You could welcome the mantra So Hum back into your breath. Inhale, So. Exhale, Hum.
So when you're ready, just rolling over onto your side and pushing yourself up into a comfortable seated position, knowing very soon. So just meeting me back at your notebooks. Are you able to hear me okay? Okay. And let's just dive right into a little bit more journaling. Starting with this, just writing about your definition of fluidity. And there are no wrong answers here. And maybe as part of this prompt, you might want to consider what you think is the opposite of fluidity. And I'll just leave these prompts in the chat in case you need a reminder. So you're welcome to keep writing on that topic, or you can start to shift towards this new topic of describing how you experience fluidity in your body. So some ideas there. Do you experience it in a certain part of your body, when you're in a certain place, at certain times, or during certain activities? And then even going into when you experience fluidity, what does it feel like? Just giving as much detail as you can. Okay, so for the final section, I want you to think about where in your life you would like to invite in more fluidity. So taking this as an opportunity to maybe set a little intention for yourself. Where would you like to invite more fluidity into your life? And there's no rush, but whenever you're feeling complete with that prompt, you can just set your notebook aside and start to come into a comfortable position for meditation. And it doesn't matter to me how you position yourself. You can lie down or be seated on the floor or on a chair. Maybe use some of your props you have near you to make yourself comfy. Just whatever helps you relax. Looks like you all are doing a great job of making yourselves comfy. Just taking a moment to settle in, make any adjustments you need to make. All right. So we're just going to start by grounding into our bodies. Noticing where your body is making connection with the surface beneath you. You might just do a simple body scan, starting at your feet, noticing where your heels are making contact with the floor. Maybe the backs of your legs on a bolster or on the floor. Feeling where your hips are pressing down, heavy on the surface beneath you. Your back is resting fully. Your arms may be relaxed on the floor beside you or resting on your belly. Just noticing the line of contact between your arms and the ground beneath you. And finally, feeling wherever your head is touching the ground. And just knowing that underneath whatever surface you're on is the same earth that's holding each of us up, connecting us across the country. And you don't have to do any work as you rest here, just allowing yourself to be held. Just shifting your focus to your breath, just allowing yourself to breathe normally, observing the rhythm and the depth of your breath. And when you're ready, letting out a long exhale, completely emptying the lungs, and allowing them to naturally expand with fresh air for a deep inhale. Just repeating this pattern at your own pace. A long, slow exhale and a deep inhale. Just recognizing that as we slow our breath, we help to cue our body to shift into the parasympathetic nervous system, where we can fully rest and heal. And if you ever need to come back to a neutral place during this meditation, just knowing that your breath is there for you. Now, we're going to start to notice how the body can move from a more solid state to a more fluid state. Beginning by asking yourself, where can I invite in more fluidity? You might notice areas in your body that feel particularly solid. There may be tissues that are feeling dense or tense. And as you notice those places, just choosing to send your breath there. Breathing into those tissues and feeling them expand with your breath. Breathing out and feeling that tension start to melt and dissipate. Breathing into those dense places and allowing a little bit more space. Breathing out and noticing your tissues become fluid. And just continuing this pattern at your own pace. Slowly shifting towards fluidity. Welcoming any sensations that come with that shift. And as we continue this process, just bringing to mind awareness of the fact that all of the tissues in your body are surrounded and connected by fascia. And remembering that all of that fascia is permeated by life-giving fluid. Just breathing in and breathing out. You just completed a yin yoga practice that was a wonderful way to mobilize and rehydrate your fascia. So here, just tapping into any sensations of fluid movement you may be experiencing in your body, however subtle they may be. Remembering writing you did on how you experience fluidity in your body and calling those images to mind now. Just visualizing the fascia layer, starting with the thin layer just underneath the surface of your skin. Visualizing this layer of fascia that envelops your whole body. Feeling into the edges of your body, feeling its wholeness, its connectedness. And then dropping your awareness one layer deeper to the fascia surrounding every muscle group, every muscle fiber. And protected by your skeletal muscles, there are your organs, surrounded and supported by layers of fascia. A little bit deeper, feeling into the layer of fascia that hugs and surrounds each of your bones. And as you sink your awareness deeper into the layers of your physical body, just allowing each of those spaces to widen and spread as they become more fluid. Allowing your body to get even a little bit heavier and sink a little bit deeper into the floor. Your body is an integrated whole, a whole being connected by fascia. Your body is a beautiful, intelligent feat of engineering. It is so intelligent. Your body knew to enact a protective mechanism when you experienced overwhelming events in your past. Your body held on to that experience for you, waiting until the perfect moment ready and able to release it. Your body wants to heal from past traumas, and it is capable of total healing. Just remembering to breathe here, coming back to that sensation of your body resting on the ground beneath you. As you're offering all this attention to your fascia, you may notice that old emotions and memories rise to the surface. If it feels manageable, just staying present with your body and allowing those feelings to move through you. Using your breath as an anchor, using the floor as a support, holding the sensation of your physical experience in the foreground. Staying present in this moment, in this breath. Allowing any memories or thoughts, any feelings to just float by in the background, knowing that you are safe in this moment. And finally, calling to mind your intention for fluid, repeating that intention to yourself now. Feeling the fluidity in your body as you set that intention into motion for yourself. Taking a last few deep breaths here, really savoring this sensation. Taking a mental snapshot of the feeling of your body in this moment. And knowing that this place exists inside of you always. You can always come back here. And just slowly starting to bring your awareness back into the room around you, keeping your eyes closed, using your sense of smell and your hearing to start to tune into your surroundings. Noticing the air on your bare skin, starting to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe taking a big stretch if that sounds good. And then when you're ready, just slowly rolling onto one side and using your arm as a pillow. Just making a slow transition to a seated position. Coming up to a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands to a prayer position over your heart. From a distance, but connected with each of you in this moment. The health within me honors within you. Namaste. Thank you.